Good afternoon, hockey fans. What's going on? Welcome back to the Odd Man Rush for our second weekly episode here on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel, brought to you by Intense Nutrition up in Coral Springs. Thank you for joining me. I'm David Dwork. I cover the Panthers for Local 10 here in South Florida. And a lot to talk about this week. I'm going to jump right in. Panthers at the moment, 14-4-3, still one of the best records in the NHL. Certainly very good after 21 games to have points in 18 of them. But they have lost 2 straight, struggled a little bit, lost at home on Saturday to Seattle, certainly stung considering the Kraken have been among, some of the not great teams this season, particularly on the road. They haven't scored much in that they put up a 4 spot, with the help of the empty net goal. But still, a bump in the road. And I mean, that's going to happen. Nobody goes through a season just rolling and rolling and rolling. Everybody has their issues. And I mean, it's not a surprise that the Panthers would hit a bump in the road when you've got Barkov out, you've got Duclair out. It's been a little bit tough. The first thing I want to talk about, probably one of the biggest issues the team has had, and this basically been season long, is the power play, right? I remember during training camp, standing at the FLA Live Arena, watching them work on the power play. And I was standing with Steve Goldstein, the Panthers TV voice, and George Richards, who does a great job covering the Panthers for Florida Hockey Now. And if you don't, please give him a subscription because he certainly is worth it. But we're standing there just watching the power play and just kind of like marveling at how amazing it looked and how effortless the puck movement was and how the shots were coming fast and furious. And all the ingredients were there for what should have been a pretty ridiculously good power play when you've got Barkov and Reinhart and Huberdeau and Ekblad, Sam Bennett. You can mix in Patrick Hornquist if you need to. Just so much skill. How could it not work? Well, it's not working. It doesn't help lately that, I mentioned before, Barkov and Duclair are out of the lineup. Bennett was out of the lineup for a little while. It's hard to get that continuity when you don't have the same guys working all together. And look, it's a lot of new concoctions of players that they're working with. But I mean, when you're breaking down the power play and the issues that have kind of occurred and continue to pop up, one of the big issues I think has just been before they even get in the zone. It's the trend in the NHL. Nobody just really dumps and chases anymore. You've got to carry it in with possession. You'd like to do it with speed. You'd like to be able to set it up so the opposition is chasing and then their feet are moving as your guys are getting set, and it all makes sense. But for whatever reason, the Panthers are having a hard time getting it through the neutral zone. Teams are keeping one high defense. They're basically going like 1-1-2. And when you do that, when you keep a guy high close to the Panthers' blue line, despite being shorthanded, usually you're leaving yourself open for the odd man rushes, and that's a big problem when you're killing a penalty, right? But in the case of the Panthers, and what a lot of teams are doing right now in the NHL is they're passing, they're doing the drop passes in the neutral zone. They're trying to set things up with speed, so that way you have at least two guys going into the zone with their feet moving fast. You can have the other guys set themselves up, and you're in a position of strength. The Panthers' passes are getting intercepted in the neutral zone, and I think it's because the opposition, if you go back and watch some of the recent power plays, they're keeping guys high. They're not just kind of falling back and letting the Panthers have the zone. They're challenging them not just at the line, but at the Panthers' blue line, at both blue lines in the neutral zone. And that's where the Panthers have really been running into trouble. It's clogging things up, and they can't get anything going. How do you solve that? Well, perhaps you move your passes up to the front half of the neutral zone, for whatever you want to call it, closer to the opposition's blue line. You want to do things a little closer, and it gets a little more jammed up there. But if teams are adjusting and they're spreading themselves out, then you've got to adjust right back. So the problem is, obviously every team is going to be doing different things, and you want to be able to make those adjustments in game. And that's where Andrew Brunette would have to come into play, because he does run the Panthers power play, or at least had been up until now. That's actually something that we should double check on, if he's still doing all of his responsibilities now that he's also got all the head coaching stuff to do as well. But back to my main point, which is basically getting the puck into the zone. Now, I'm not averse to just going back to a simple dump and chase. At least, when you're trying to get in the zone at first, the Panthers have the skill. They can go get the puck. I mean, they're an amazing possession team. They're great at taking the puck away. you got to get in the zone. You got to get set up. I mean, that's step one of any power play. So that's really been, I mean, you put the key in the engine, you start it up. If it doesn't go, I mean, that's the thing. Like, that's why I wanted to touch on that before getting into the end zone stuff. Because once they're in the zone and once they're set up, I mean, you've seen it. Their passing is fine. Like, they're moving it around. They're looking to create lanes to get it through the middle of the ice. I get that. That's what all the teams are trying to do, because you want to open up those side to sides. You want to get the goalie moving as far as possible from one side of the crease to the other. But this is a team that you really get the feeling that they're always looking for that perfect play and passing up great shooting opportunities. And again, speaking from a goaltending perspective, if you can get the goalie moving, you're just throwing it at the net before they have a chance to get set, bad things are going to happen. Rebounds are going to pop up. Holes are created. Like, there's so many opportunities where instead of just making a quick pass, just fire it on net real quick. You never know what's going to happen in that situation. So just get pucks to the net. I think in terms of their in-zone power play stuff, that's the one driving, stressing issue that I want to say more than anything else. Get pucks to the net. I think the more than you do that, good things will happen, especially whether it's Sam Bennett or Patrick Hornquist in the middle. They know what to do when the puck is bouncing around in there. We'll see. Barkov hopefully will come back sometime in the next few days. Anthony Duclair may be playing on Thursday, as Andrew Burnett said earlier today. We'll get to the injured guys in just a moment. Sam Reinhart's moved around, as I mentioned. So there's been a lot of not stability issues per se, but just in terms of getting good continuity, getting chemistry. They haven't really been a set group yet. So, and for the Panthers to have the record that they do, the 14-4-3, they're still towards the top of the NHL, and to have their power play struggle the way it has, it kind of gives you a little bit of optimism. And you think, well, when the power play does get figured out, right? Like, just another little notch to go up there. There's still room to improve considering how well they've played. So yeah, you know me, I'm always the glass half full kind of guy. Another area that they've struggled, before we get into the injury updates, another area that the Panthers have struggled, and much more of late, has been in the faceoff circle. It's been an issue on and off for most of the season, more so lately. I think it's become exacerbated with Barkov being out because he's on the ice so much and he takes so many crucial draws. It's something that after Panthers practice today, I asked Anthony Burnett. Sorry. I asked him about the specific faceoff issue after the game. Andrew Burnett, that's what caught me off. His main point was that the effort hasn't been an issue, right? He said, the way he put it was, struggles in there will lead to confidence issues, and it's like a snowball effect. One thing he said that I wanted to quote him on, which I thought was interesting, I thought maybe it's something that he's saying to the team, just the way that he kind of stated it. When the puck drops, it's a battle. Win your battle. Those were his words. And yeah, I mean, that basically comes down to it's one, everybody there is capable of winning a faceoff, right? You've got to go and you've got to step up to the plate and do your thing. I asked Sam Bennett about this as well. Obviously he's a centerman. He takes a lot of draws, and he admitted, yeah, when you struggle, it's something that guys can take personally. And it's nice to hear that honest assessment from him. He said that they're definitely working on tweaking little things during practice, and they're trying to really fine tune what they do. But at the end of the day, he said it's all about competing and it's all about timing. And, obviously two different but equally important things. And one thing that he kind of stressed that I think is important in terms of just the way that the Panthers play. They're a possession team. They're a driving team. Well, you've got to start the play with the puck in order to play with the puck. And it all starts in the faceoff circle. So it's definitely something that's at the forefront of their minds. Hopefully it's something that we'll see them improve on in the coming games, as they've got this homestand to wrap up this week. They've got the Capitals tomorrow. They've got Buffalo Thursday, and then a home and home starting home on Saturday with the St. Louis Blues. Real quick, I want to touch on Ryan Lombard just because he just signed a 2-year extension that he absolutely earned. And I just feel like Lombard, we know what he brings to the table. We know he's like 110% effort. We know that he can skate fast as hell for a tough guy. And lately, I just think he's really turned a corner. He's driving to the net a lot more. He's pushing to the puck to the net a lot more. He's holding on to it really and driving play. he's almost stepped into a gap that was left when Anthony Duclair got hurt, and kind of playing that speedy puck possession role. But it's just really nice to see Lombard, because you know what he brought to the table last season, but to see his game continuing to grow and him still improving in these systems, it's wonderful to see. And the fact that the Panthers got him for another 2 years at an $800,000 a year AAV, I think that's a bargain for a guy that brings to the table what Lombard brings to the table. We're going to get to Doug Plagens, Panthers radio play-by-play voice, in just a moment. I just really quick want to give you guys the injury updates that we got from Andrew Brunette today after practice. Not Anthony Brunette, Andrew Brunette. Gus Forsling, it's a lower body injury. He went on IR yesterday. It happened during the third period of the loss against Seattle. And yeah, it doesn't sound like it's anything that he's going to be back soon. Brunette said he's week to week, and hopefully nothing extended, because Forsling has been such a great player. But it sounds like he's going to be out for at least a little while. Barkov, I think he's going to be back soon. He skated today with the team for the first time as a participant in practice. He did wear the yellow non-contact jersey, but I mean, his skating is strong. And I mean, you know, it was a leg or a knee injury or, you know, whatever it was. Skating wise, he looks like he's good to go. I get the taking it cautious, which is why, you know, he's not full participant yet, but he's been trending in the right direction. He's been skating almost every day since the injury. So it would not surprise me at all to see him return at some point on this homestand. Anthony Duclair, he's going to test his injury tomorrow morning when the Panthers are on for the morning skate. Brunette said hopefully Thursday for Duclair, so I wouldn't expect to see him playing tomorrow, but Thursday is the target there, which is great. He'll be back soon. And then Mason Marchment, he's still week to week. No real new updates there. Hopefully sooner rather than later was what Brunette said. Ole Ulevi could be coming off IR any day now. He's day-to-day, close to returning. He's going to finish his conditioning stint either here in South Florida or in Charlotte. That's still up in the air, but either way, he's getting close, so hopefully no setbacks there. And then finally, Marcus Nudevara, he is not close. It sounds like he's not really going to come back at all this season, I would think. Brunette kind of left the door open for it. He said something like, we'll see how long the season goes, which, you know, reading between the lines there, it doesn't sound like anything positive. So unfortunately for Marcus Nudevara, kind of a freak injury that happened during practice, and he just hasn't been able to overcome it. So, you know, you wish him the best, but yeah, that sucks. One thing that is awesome is Intense Nutrition, my sponsor, an amazing, amazing supplement store located at 2540 North University Drive in Coral Springs. It's conveniently just a couple of minutes from the Panthers ice den. So, you know, if you're playing a hockey game, you got some stuff going on in that area, hop over to Intense Nutrition. It's a great place. If you're looking for a place that offers like the big box bargain prices, but that personal local business touch, it's Intense Nutrition, where you're going to find superior quality and superior service. Their amazing staff is going to take care of all your vitamin and supplement needs. They'll work with you one-on-one for your own specific stacks, whether it's for an aging man, a peaking athlete, or if you just want to help fight off cold and flu season, they've got your back. They also offer the Intense Cleanse and Detox, which will help you lose 10 to 15 pounds in 10 days. It's an amazing program. And they've also got whatever you need for just your pre or post-workout regimens. So whatever you need, supplement-wise, vitamin-wise, please go to Intense Nutrition, 2540 North University Drive in Coral Springs, on the corner of University and Royal Palm, or just give them a call at 954-775-0257. Okay, now we're going to get to my amazing guest, and I'm so grateful that he's able to take a little time to join me today. Panthers radio voice Doug Plagens, who recently, Doug, celebrated a pretty spectacular milestone. You told me about it when we talked during the preseason. I set a reminder in my phone just so I wouldn't forget. 1,000 professional games called. Amazing. And for such a young guy, look at you. You're like a baby, and you've already got 1,000 games. Congratulations on that. Wow. It's pretty cool that you've been able to do that, but to be able to celebrate it in the NHL at this level, very special for you, I'm sure. Kind of, what was the feeling like to hit that big number? Oh, Doug, I think you're on mute. Oh. Try it now. You got it? Uh-oh. We're having some technical difficulties here. All right, well, maybe we can try let's try to reconnect. Manny Chang is our amazing producer behind the scenes. I'm sure can get that figured out in just a second. But you know what? That's why we have a show sheet. So in the meantime, how about I talk about Spencer Knight for a second? Because he's kind of somebody that I've been thinking about lately in terms of a guy who I felt was super consistent, but lately the inconsistencies are creeping in. And okay, 20 years old, I'm not really overly concerned, mostly because he's such a stoic and mature guy off the ice. Nothing seems to bother this kid. And he's at the NHL level. He's getting the most amazing coaching and attention. So I would expect that to not really be a big issue. I know a lot of you have tweeted and mentioned your concerns about Spencer Knight, but I think combined with his age and just how good he is, it's not a big concern. So, all right, we got Doug back now. Let's bring him back in. Hi, Doug.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Oh, there's the voice that I love. There we go.
I don't know what happened. I could not for the life of me figure out what was going on with the audio control on this thing. But I even had these fancy headphones that Jameson Olive gave me, and they've never failed me before. And I don't know what happened. I no idea there. But hey, the point is we're ready to go now. And thanks for having me on. First of all, thanks for the congratulations, because while you couldn't hear me, I could hear you. And and I thank you very much for, like I said, for having me, for the congratulations. And as for how it felt, when I got into this, which I'm in my 14th season in pro hockey now. I started my first year, I was 23. So you do the math, but really the only two goals I really set for myself out of the gate were to, in no particular order, one day get to the National Hockey League and manage to stick around for 1,000 pro games. And fortunately, like I said, couldn't be more grateful that I've been able to accomplish both of those, and couldn't be more grateful for all the great coworkers that I've been with along the way who've helped make it all possible. Colleagues, like yourself in the media, and everybody that I've had a chance to bump into, and most of all the listeners, because without them, none of it would be possible. So it just meant a lot to be able to accomplish that. And, I've never been one to get into any of this for personal glory, but it's fun every once in a while to be able to, check off at least a couple of goals that you set for yourself along the way.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's really what it's all about, isn't it? Just kind of climbing that ladder and getting to the top of the mountain. But I mean, you've reached your goals, right? So do we have new goals now? Is it 2,000? Is it 5,000? Is it broadcasting Hall of Fame? I mean, what's the next step here?
Well, I guess that's going to be a process as we go along. We'll determine that. But, it's one of those things. I remember doing the math a couple of years ago and thinking, okay, around this time roughly is when I'll hit the 1,000 game mark. So it's definitely something that I had on my radar, and knew that it would be, approaching at some point. And we're, in a lot of ways, obviously we're doing different things, totally different routes to get there. But, for a lot of the broadcasters, it's no different than the route the players take. Especially in my case, I kind of had the linear trajectory. I started in the ECHL, and then I did my time in the American Hockey League, and then in 2015 got the call up to the National Hockey League. So not everybody's route is exactly that way, but it does happen. And like I said, just thankful that it worked out that way, and it was something that kind of had circled for a long time.
Well, it's awesome. I'm really glad that we're all kind of able to share it together. It's been great just kind of being here and watching you for the last 7 years, right? This is your seventh season with the Panthers.
7th year. Time flies.
Lucky number 7, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's just been really cool kind of watching as the team has grown. You've been here to grow with them, and you really get a feel for, like what the fan base has been through, like how far this team and this region has come to get to what we have right now. Because, I mean, not only is this, obviously probably the best Panthers team that you've been able to witness, but it could very well be the best Panthers team of all time, Doug.
In terms of straight up talent, and Billy Lindsay's even said as much. I mean, in terms of just the overall talent level that this group has, I don't think it's ever been touched in Panthers history. And, just in my time, 15-16 was special, and they had the 12-game win streak and won the division. And
with Yager and all that.
That was a special season. But this group really turned a corner last year. And I think, as you said, now that I've been here 7 years, obviously it's by no means, I haven't even been here a decade, but I've still been here long enough to be able to see, Barkov and Ekblad and Huberdeau kind of go from being really talented young player to getting that, underrated label to now being recognized as true superstars in the National Hockey League. So you've seen their careers kind of take that upward trajectory. You've seen them grow and had a chance to, last season, see this team really turn a corner. I think last year we saw, obviously from the second Bill Zito came in, took what was already a really talented group of guys that were the cornerstone building block types and added the supplemental parts to put the team over the top. And then as the year went on, you saw the team develop that belief that they were, good enough to win every single night they went on the ice, and they played with that confidence. And as the season went on, that only got stronger. And, even though it was tough to take the playoff loss against the Lightning, I'm sure everybody would tell you that there were positive lessons to be taken from that. And, sometimes it's the old adage. Sometimes you learn how to deal with the shortcomings before you can take that eventual next step. And this season now, the Panthers look like a team that's going to vie for the President's Trophy. So, and then not just get to the playoffs, but make noise when they do get there. So, this is a season where, and I think anybody on the team, I had a sense at media day, the guys just knew how much talent they had. They knew what they were capable of this season. It's a special group, and South Florida sports fans are in for a real treat this season because this team is it's very talented, and it's going to be very talented, and it's going to be in the mix for a number of years to come as well.
Yeah, you talk about this being such a unique, special team. I love that you said that because, like today, you and I were at Panthers practice, speaking to the players afterwards, and Jonathan Huberdeau and Sam Bennett both talked about wanting to get back to like having fun and being light and just feeling that joy that they had earlier in the season. I thought it was really interesting that they were talking about that because you would kind of think the opposite, like you want to focus more and bear down. But these guys are talking about we need to loosen up and just have fun with one another. And I think it goes back to the point that you just made about how special and unique this group is. And it really starts with inside the dressing room more than on the ice, right?
Yeah, they seem like a group that genuinely enjoys being around each other. And it sounds like for a lot of them, a lot of that developed last year because everything was really, you couldn't do a whole lot on the road, especially last year. They were just kind of confined together. And, it seemed like they really developed a bond last year. Off-ice bonds do translate onto the ice. And it is, the having fun element that is important, and you can't overlook that. And it's a luxury now that the Panthers have kind of built for themselves. You look at their record right now, and I know there are folks that are, when the standards have been raised, the way this team's been playing, yes, some losses do sting, but the fact that the Panthers are coming off a couple of losses, even though they're coming off a couple of losses, let's not lose sight of the big picture here. We're 21 games in, and really all this team needs to do is play 500 hockey the rest of the way, and making the playoffs is no problem. So that's the situation that they put themselves in, where they're in a great spot. They've got the cushion. They're able to deal with a slight injury bug that's hit them lately. And at the same time, because of the cushion they've built up, I'm sure they realize this, when you're 10 games over hockey 500, you have the ability to go out there and play a bit looser. If we've seen how tight the playoff races can get, if the turn of the new year comes around and you're 5 points back and you've got 4 teams that you have to jump, it might be a little tougher to go out and play loose and have fun because that every point that you leave on the table could be, a matter of life and death at that point in time. But the Panthers, in the situation they're in right now, they built the cushion up for themselves. They're 10 games over 500. They have a chance to make a run at the division title here, and perhaps even more than that as far as regular season accolades are concerned. They have the ability to go out there, play loose, have fun, and I think we're going to see that lead to a lot of success because especially as the season goes on, they are going to play some of those teams that are fighting for their lives. And when you're fighting for your life in a playoff race, sometimes that can help you have success. It can also cause a team to run out of gas down the stretch too. The Panthers, though, are going to be in a situation where they can work on things. They can make sure that they are where they want to be when they ultimately make that, ramp things up for the postseason.
Yeah, it'll be a unique position because one that the Panthers and, Panthers followers haven't really been able to experience. Usually it's fighting to get in. So it'll be fun when we get into the spring months. Before we get off the non-hockey stuff, I do want to ask you about one other thing. After 1,000 games called, this is something I was thinking about earlier today. You said ECHL, AHL, NHL. So there's been a lot of levels, a lot of games. Any calls that stand out when you think of, past your career, just something like, man, that was a good one?
Well, there's certain instances, and then there's just, I guess, different kinds of things. I mean, for one, you think of some of the history, the fact that we had multiple seasons of Roberto Luongo and Jaromir Jagr. I mean, every night there was a certain milestone that was being hit by one of those guys, and they were climbing the charts and setting new franchise records and achieving new rankings on various all-time lists. And there was just something really special to that, because every night we were seeing Hall of Fame resumes just get, even further solidified every single night with what those guys were doing. So those are, that was special. Just looking around the rest of the league and just some of the opportunities that were afforded the National Hockey League. I mean, it's one of those 25 years from now, I'm going to think back, even though you have to appreciate what you see around the rest of the league too. 25 years from now, I'm going to think back and say, I'm glad I got to see Connor McDavid in his prime. I'm glad I got to see Sidney Crosby, in his prime, because those are guys that are going to be on the top 10 all-time list when it's all said and done, I believe. And just some of the great teams that we've had a chance to see. You can't overlook that kind of thing either. But when I think back to for some reason, somebody asked me on Twitter last week. So I do a blog at floridapanthers.com, just a weekly mailbag. And somebody asked me if there was a goal that stood out. And yeah, there have been historic goals and things like that. But when somebody said, what's the goal that stands out? And you'll appreciate this, Dave, but it was in the American Hockey League in January of 2015. It was a Friday night at Allstate Arena in Chicago. And the puck was dumped in from center by, I remember, Chicago Wolves forward Magnus Pajärvi dumped the puck in from center ice directly in on Reto Berra, who would go on to play or be in the Panthers organization, afterward. But he was on a conditioning loan from the Colorado Avalanche, so he was our goalie that weekend. And the puck was dumped straight in on him. We were up by 2 goals, and without hesitation, he just ripped it the length of the ice. Dead center. Could not have been any better. And it's still, 1,001 games in professional hockey, and throughout the various levels. Still the only goalie goal that I've ever seen. So I can't.
No, that's super rare.
So when people ask, what's the one goal that stands out? The one goalie goal.
I love it.
The one that was different from all the other ones.
Right. Well, that's more rare than a no-hitter when you think about it. I mean, seeing a goalie goal, that's like a once or twice a decade type thing. That's super cool. And it's something that I could never do, because I could probably get it down the ice, but I don't think I could get it down the ice before someone else could catch up to it. So it's not that easy. That's really cool that you remember that one. And, yes, I love that answer.
That was a fun one. So it was Reto Berra, January 2015, and then he did the celebration, like he skated out to the bench and ran the bench, and the Chicago Wolves weren't big fans of that, being a 4-1 game on their home ice, and it was.
Oh, come on! You got to let the goalie do his thing.
It almost started a melee, but everything calmed down.
No, you gotta if the goalie scores a goal, you gotta let him have a celly. You gotta let him ride the bench. It's
let him do whatever he wants, because if we're being realistic, probably not going to happen again.
Yeah. All right. So before we get going, I did want to ask you about this, just because it's something that I'm so interested in as a part of your life. Is you're such a big card collector. I know you've got some really nice stuff in your collection, but how big is your collection? You got baseball, you've got some football, you got some basketball. How big is it? Thousands?
There's still a big chunk of it that's at my parents' house that they love to see me get out of the, whether it's spread throughout the attic, the garage, closets. They'd love to see me get rid of some of that stuff from there. But
it sounds extensive if it's in multiple areas of your parents' house.
Yeah, and I've always been a big memorabilia guy, so it goes beyond just cards as well. So there's stuff that takes up some space there, and one day I'll get it all out of there. But I've really, over the years, it's part of why I've tried to narrow my focus a bit, because as much as I'd love to just collect everything. Space constraints. You got to pick and choose a little bit, and you want to make sure that you want to make sure. And as I've gotten older, I've really seen the value, and I like being able to focus in on certain things, narrow things down. As much as I'd love to just buy a box of every new product. I mean, some of the stuff's gotten so ridiculously expensive lately, but I guess it's good for the overall prices of everything. I always tell myself that, but as much as I'd love to just, buy a box of everything to open up. And I've kind of told myself that unless I have the intention of putting a full set together, I can't just buy random packs and random boxes anymore.
That's the funnest part is opening packs and boxes. That's the cool part.
That's the fun part. But then you end up with, it just keeps stacking up and stacking up and stacking up. So you have to be wise about it. And I've also, maybe this is just part of growing up, but I've learned the value of going out and just sometimes it may not be as fun as the chase, but I've learned the value of going out and buying the specific stuff that you want rather than buying endless packs and hoping that you stumble across it. So that's kind of the way that I've decided to narrow my focus a little bit. When I was a kid, I used to just couldn't go to the store without buying a pack of something. Now you can't always, as much as I'd love to go to the grocery store when I'm finished with my shopping, grab a pack of something on the way out. They don't even, it's tough to find stuff these days. So I guess that's good for the overall hobby and landscape, but I guess that's the beauty of it. That's what I love the most about it is doesn't matter what your favorite thing is, doesn't matter what your budget is. You can collect any way you want. And as long as you're collecting what you like, you really can't lose.
All right. Last thing, 2 or 3, your most prized cards. What comes to your mind first?
I would say my Mount Rushmore of sports cards that I own is my Jordan rookie, my Gretzky rookie. It's a Topps, and my Barry Sanders score rookie. Being a Lions fan, growing up in Detroit, that was always a cornerstone part of my collection. And if you were a kid in the 80s, 90s, the 1989 Upper Deck King Griffey Jr. rookie card is still that's the card, even though they might still have a printing press on printing those things someplace. It's a card that's always going. Yeah, it's always going to have a place. As I always put it, and then there's a handful of cards like this. It's one of those cards that people who don't collect cards have seen.
Right.
And even though you can pick one up, for in nice shape for $75 to $100. Everybody loved Ken Griffey Jr. That was kind of the dawn of a new era for the hobby. It was a card that was bigger than cards. And even though it's $75 to $100, if you had to make a Mount Rushmore of sports cards all time, and we're talking like the Honus Wagner that has been the most expensive card, one of the most iconic cards out there, the 1909 Honus Wagner tobacco card, the 52 Topps Mickey Mantle. I mean, those are cards that sell in the millions. And you got your Ken Griffey Jr. Upper Deck rookie, $75, but I think it belongs on there just because everybody has seen that card. Even if you're not even into cards, you've probably seen that card.
I like that your Mount Rushmore had one of each sport on it too. I think you got good diversity. I think that's key. But no, you're right. As long as you're not talking value, if you're talking just in terms of like an iconic, well-known card, everybody knows that Griffey Upper Deck rookie card.
Yep, it kind of launched the hobby into different heights. I think that because the quality of cards, the stock they were using, Upper Deck had foil wrappers and packs were $1. Like this was earth-shattering stuff back then at that point in time. So the hobby turned a corner at that point, and the Griffey rookie was the big driving force.
Well, Doug, I want to thank you so much for taking a little time and talking some hockey, some history, and some sports cards on the Odd Man Rush today. I appreciate you coming on the show, and we'll definitely have you on another time down the road. But thank you so much, and I'll see you around the rink.
Anytime. Thanks for having me. Happy to help, and just give me a shout whenever you want to do it again. But we'll see you soon.
All right, brother. Be well.
You too.
All right, so that was Doug Plagens, awesome guest. Went a little long with Doug. I'm sorry to Manny, my producer, who's probably throwing stuff at his computer to get me to end the show. Thank you guys so much for watching the second episode of Odd Man Rush here on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel, brought to you by Intense Nutrition in Coral Springs. We'll be back again next Monday at 2:00 with another show. Thank you for watching. You can find all my work on local10.com. And yeah, that's it. Awesome to see you, and we'll see you next week.